I started playing golf when I was 2.5 years old using this putter and putter shaft. 33 years later, I find myself using the same technology. Stability shaft manufacturers have been making some pretty big claims, but will it make me a better putter? Let's find out. In 2018, stability putter shafts just started hitting the market. BGT, or Breakthrough Golf Technology, was one of the first products out there taking this new approach. So what are stability shafts and what are they supposed to do for us? The gist is that stability putter shafts are ultra low torque or low torque compared to their traditional steel counterparts. Ultimately, this has the intention of improving consistency of off-center hits and overall strike of the golf ball with the putter. What I ultimately want to find out from this test, as somebody who doesn't get a lot of time to practice putting or dedicates time to practicing putting, I want to know if my inconsistent strike, which is something I deal with on a regular basis, could ultimately be improved by taking something that has this much torque and replacing something that has this much torque in bed. So step one of this approach is ultimately going to be to determine how is my current equipment working now. I've been using the Grin to track my handicap as well as a variety of statistics over the last couple of years while I've been picking up playing golf a little bit more frequently. So if I look at the information on their website, I'm able to see over the last 20 rounds the putting statistics going into last year and then up to the year to date. And I can see overall I've been averaging 31.7 putts per round with a total of 19 3 putts and 103 1 putts over that duration. In addition, I wanted to take some variables out of it, so I took some time to make sure I understood what the specs of this putter were in terms of the swing weight and the overall length, because if I'm going to be making some changes, I want to try my best to return it to exactly what it is right now. So I took some time. I had a friend give me a old putting mat, so I laid it out. I tried to make sure it was as level as possible. I snapped a straight line on it using a laser, and then I took some time making sure the putt was as straight as I could possibly get it. I took 50 putts from the 5-foot line and then 50 putts from the 10-foot line in order to determine to a degree how consistent I could be with this putter from those two distances. So despite being moderately embarrassed and realizing that being bent over, hitting 100 putts in a row, ultimately made my back pretty much catch on fire, I was able to determine how consistent I was able to be with this putter from those two distances. And from the 5-foot range, I managed to only miss 3 putts. And then at the 10-foot range, I missed a total of 10 putts. So that'd be 94% accuracy and then 80% accuracy from those two distances. So from here, the next steps are going to be to start going through, breaking this club down, which is going to end up being a pretty permanent change. So I hope it's going to work out. And we're going to get this shaft assembled. it's the next day, the drying's done, and I'm happy to say I still have a putter to put in the bag. Initial impressions on it, I'm pretty happy with it, to be honest. I kind of like the two-tone finish with the matte going into the old steel chrome. I was able to save the super stroke grip, which I was happy about, despite it taking a solid 5 minutes for me to get that bad boy off the old shaft. Big things that stand out, just kind of looking at the differences, just the feel in the hands, it's definitely a lot more rigid. I did measure this and then also weigh it as well. It came in just a hair over 34.5 inches, so just pretty much the exact same length as the previous shaft. And then the swing weight was a little bit heavier, coming in at F 5.9 from the F 4.3 when the steel shaft was in it. So I didn't want to tinker around with it too much. I've actually not hit any putts with this yet, so I'm just going to go into this cold and in an effort to ultimately see how much of a difference this really can make just straight out of the gate. So we're going to go through the same test. I'm going to hit 50 putts from the 5-foot line and then 50 putts from the 10-foot line and see how it compares. So the testing's done, and there's really no need to slow roll this, but my putting got better. And honestly, if I had to describe my initial reaction on the performance, I would say I'm pretty surprised. I personally, after really not having paid much attention to the golf shaft in a putter, and then recognizing the potential for improvement without really making any other equipment changes or addressing anything from a specification standpoint on the golf club. I have to say, I definitely felt a little bit more confident with this on the putter just 24 hours later in comparison from the day before doing the exact same test. I got in a groove at a couple different points where I just felt like I was cruising, or whether it's just the confidence in that, not being overly concerned about how I was going to hit the ball or the accuracy in which I was doing so. I just felt like there was a little bit more forgiveness there. And then overall on the test, we can see marginal improvement from both of those distances. So I only missed one from the 5-foot range, and then in comparison on the 10-foot range, I was doing pretty good throughout the entire test. And then I missed a couple on the last set to bring it to a total of 7 missed putts. So 6% improvement from the 10-foot range, and then a 4% improvement from the 5-foot range. The next part to note, and I didn't really anticipate this going into it, but I've had an opportunity to go back and listen to both the videos either before or after the shaft change. And I did notice a slight difference as far as the audible feedback I was getting on each of the shots. Obviously, I'm hitting this in a basement. It's been pretty quiet down here, despite watching the baby monitor as my kids are taking a nap right now. But I did notice almost a little bit higher pitch every time I was hitting it. So I'm gonna take a pause. I'm gonna play both those videos, and you can see if you can hear a difference yourself. next factor I was curious to see if we were going to see an improvement on was the overall forgiveness of how the putter performed. And simply from the test, I did not become a better putter over the last 24 hours. And I did see an improvement, like I had mentioned, in terms of the confidence that I had as I got well into the test and hitting like a couple dozen of these putts. I just felt that regardless of the type of putting stroke I was ultimately putting on the ball, I felt more confident in the ability for the ball to start on the line that I was intending it to go on. And I got a little curious after I finished the test, so I went back in between recording a couple of these debrief items, and I actually went and hit some putts as far out on the toe as I could possibly hit it, and as well on the heel, to see how much of a difference the shaft would ultimately make on striking the golf ball out on both those parts of the club face. So let's check that out. So as you can see from that video and that first putt, me trying to hit it as far out on the toe as I possibly could, the natural expectation that I did have was that I would lose a lot of energy hitting it out towards the toe due to the gearing effect, and then maybe the lack of efficiency from hitting it so far off of the middle of the club face. And I absolutely murdered that putt. I basically skipped completely over the hole. And I think that really just kind of goes to show how whatever is going on with the low torque aspect of this golf club and of this change over the steel counterpart, there is maybe something there that's kind of tough to quantify. So now the next question really is this setup that we have here worth the $300+ price tag that it's ultimately costing in order to throw this on a club? And if I was making that decision in a vacuum with just the information that I had from doing this test, I think I would probably lean towards yes, because I did see an improvement overall in how I was performing with the putter. I do like the feel, I like the audio coming off of it. In comparison, it just feels nice and crisp compared to the traditional steel shaft. There's also the aspect of there's no going back at this point. I can't really redo what I have already done, so I'm pretty much pot committed at this point. But I think there's a little bit more that needs to be done in order for me to completely feel confident with this change ultimately. That's really just going to be time. And that's going to be me playing throughout the rest of the year, seeing how my putting improves, having an opportunity to maybe put a bad stroke on a putt, on a green when it matters, and have it go in instead of miss because of the forgiveness that this is ultimately providing. So I will be throwing a follow-on video out there sometime down the road whenever I can get 20 rounds of golf in. So that might be going into next year. But if this is something that you have dabbled with in your own bag, if it's something that you're looking to potentially integrate into your bag, I think it's honestly worth a try. I think it's worth maybe looking out to the market, trying to figure out what might fit better for you, because there are some counterbalance technologies in there that are built into the shaft themselves. This just has the natural counterbalance with the Super Stroke grip and the 50-gram weight that I have in the butt here, which is something I might play around with later on in messing with the swing weight and the total weight of the putter itself. But I think it's worth checking out if you do have the means to do so. Drop a comment down below. Let me know how it's been working for you. Love to hear from you guys on ultimately like what you're working on in your own golf game. And then that might help me just as much as I'm hoping some of these videos might help you going forward. So see you later.